Freedom Front Plus is heading back to the Electoral Court in a bid to stop Black First, Land First from participating in the general elections. The parties previously said the Independent Electoral Commission made a mistake by registering the BLF. FF Plus leader Pieter Groenewald believes it has a strong case as the Electoral Commission Act prohibits the IEC from registering a party that excludes people from joining based on race, ethnicity, I should say. Our reporter Moloko Moloto is following this story for us, and he is at the South Gauteng High Court. All right, let's touch base with him now. Moloko, good morning to you. So the Independent Electoral Commission has dismissed this case, but of course the BLF now, rather the EFF Plus, heading to the Electoral Court. What are they hoping to achieve?
Hello, Toli. Indeed, the Freedom Front Plus, after losing an appeal through the IEC, their next recourse was to head to the Electoral Court, which has the powers to review any decision by the IEC. By the way, they are hoping that the court will agree with them that the BLF, by excluding white members, has violated provisions of the Electoral Commission Act of 1998. So they are hoping that the court will instruct the IEC to remove the BLF from the ballot. But of course, that has its own implications. But let me bring in Pieter Groenewald. He is leader of the FF Plus. Meneer, thank you so much for joining us. Why do you think you have a compelling case when the IEC ruled against you in the first place?
Well, we think we've got a clear case because it's about the Electoral Commission's Act. You said because they don't allow white people. That's not what it is about. It is about Section 16 that is quite clear, that says that the party who wants to participate in an election and want to register are not allowed to base its membership on race. In this specific case, Clause 4 of the BLF determines only black people can be members of the party. So it's a contravention of the Act, the Electoral Commission's Act, and therefore we say, in South Africa, nobody is above the law, and they must comply to the law.
You became aware of the fact that the BLF was registered with the IEC because sometime in 2016, July, around then, and the IEC has argued that your appeal to them was extremely late, to a point that it was impractical for them to deregister or even listen to your case.
Well, firstly, you must remember in 2016, the BLF was not allowed to participate in the local government elections. So, and furthermore, the IEC did not publicize the BLS registration in the Gazette. So it was never gazetted. So that is one of our arguments, that created the impression, firstly, that they were not allowed to participate in the local government election, that they were not registered because there was no publication or gazetted.
So when did you become aware of their existence?
Well, we started January this year, we started to ask questions, and then we said that we want a copy of the constitution of the BLF that has been submitted to the IEC. And the IEC didn't want to give it to us. We have to come with an application to force them to give it to us, and only after they only gave that about in March, and then immediately we reacted, because then we saw it is the same constitution which is on the website of the BLF, only allowing black people to become members.
Yeah. Quickly, the IEC says that if the court were to rule in your favor, it would throw the elections into complete disarray, because the ballots would have to be redesigned and reprinted, and they've already printed around 60 million of ballot papers, and having spent 25 million rand. Do you want to disrupt the elections?
No, the IEC is wrong, because even if you look at the code of conduct of the Electoral Commission, then you will find that if there's a contravention, then the Commission can make a decision to say, even if a party is on the ballot paper, even if there was voting brought forward for that specific party, they can refuse to count it. So I think it is not correct to say that we're going to disrupt it. We know it's already on the ballot paper, and it's not going to disrupt. It's a matter the court can make a decision to say the votes that has been cast then for the BLF will not be counted. It's just as simple as that. So it's no disruption.
Yeah. But what would you say to people who are saying the BLF has a right to decide who they want to accept as their member or follower?
Of course they have the right to accept whoever they want, like any political party. But the Act says you're not allowed to have membership based on race. If we want to say in South Africa that political parties may have that right, change the Act. It's as simple as that. The main issue in this matter is that the Freedom Front Plus say nobody is above the law. That is part of the problem in South Africa. We've got good legislation, but we are just turning a blind eye when there is contravention of certain legislation, and this is a specific case.
Quickly, we don't know how the court is going to rule, the Electoral Court that is. If it rules against you, what's the way forward?
Well, then we will have to take a final decision depending on what the ruling is and the arguments of the court, why they make a specific decision. But we will then study that finding of the court, and then we will make a final decision. It's very difficult to now say what we're going to do. I'm of the opinion, I'm very convinced that there's no, can I say, doubt that the Electoral Commission's Act has been contravened by the BLF. And it will depend on the court how they're going to say how we're going to handle this situation with the coming election.
Thank you, Pieter Groenewald. He is the leader of the Freedom Front Plus. They've approached the Electoral Court hoping it would rule in their favor. Of course, if they were, or any of the parties, be it the BLF, the IEC or the FF Plus, if they are unhappy with today's decision, the only legal recourse they have would be to approach the Constitutional Court, because only the Apex Court can hear matters that were adjudicated by the Electoral Court. But let me say, Xoli, that the BLF is contesting for the National Assembly, but also in Gauteng, the Northwest, Mpumalanga, as well as KwaZulu-Natal. And already on the 27th of this month, on Saturday, South Africans who are abroad have already voted, and in those ballots, the BLF appeared.
Very interesting indeed how this story, or should we say this court case, is going to pan out. Thank you very much, Moloto, joining us from the South Gauteng High Court.